Hi guys. How are you doing? I'm going to try another video here. Hopefully this one will not be rejected by the YouTube censor team. Today's subject is just going to be a mishmash of various topics. It's a really weird, strange time, don't you think? I mean, it's strange, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel strange? Everything seems to be out of sorts and odd. Well, we're in the midst of the change. We're in the midst of the change. The change. We're in the midst of it. And we're in the middle of it, and it's happening. It's easy for us to envision change as wars and conflicts, like World War II, like the American Civil War, like the American Revolutionary War, but what we're seeing is an engineered change, or better yet, an engineered collapse that is associated with global realignments. And that's probably the best way to describe what's going on. What you see in the news is really just fabricated nonsense most of the time. They create narratives hoping to generate perceptions. Doesn't matter if it's China or whatever the issue is, there's always going to be some type of manufactured narrative. Just this morning, an influencer sent me a TikTok video. He's in Thailand, and it was maybe 5 seconds long, and showed some apartment complexes in Shanghai, and in the distance you can hear somebody laughing or screaming. And the title of the video is "Frustrated Shanghai Residents Yearning for Freedom to Get Out from the Terrible Coronavirus Lockdown that is." And then the implied statement is the unreasonable lockdowns, because the rest of the world has stopped doing lockdowns. So we should all follow the rest of the world, right? There seems to be this movement here. Let's follow the rest of the world. So you have NATO pushing against Russia, and Russia fighting the United States in the Ukraine. They're not fighting the Ukrainians, they're fighting the United States in the Ukraine. That's American-led troops. That's one of the big revelations that came out over the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Proxy nation for certain. Next one's going to be Taiwan. People, buckle up. China is not as polite as the Russians are, especially on their own territory. Okay. So we've got, people in Finland and Sweden saying, "Hey, NATO's fighting Russia. Well, we're going to join NATO." Are they out of their minds? What's really going on? Well, let's use the iceberg analogy here, huh? There's other things in play. It ain't over till the fat lady sings, and a lot of it's bullshit in between. So if they're that suicidal, then they deserve what happens. Okay, have you ever watched a cat get a mouse or a rat? These nations are right next door to Russia. And keep in mind that the Ukraine is being done politely. Russia doesn't want to destroy the entire country like America does. But as politely as Russia's doing it, it certainly looks a hell of a lot like it's pretty well destroyed. Those buildings and everything look pretty awful. Unfortunately, war is a terrible thing. But war is being fought on a number of levels. And as I said before, a war is a war is a war is a war. Call it a hybrid war, call it information war, call it military technical measures, call it whatever you will, but a war is a war. The United States has declared war on Asia, declared war on Russia, declared war on China. Now, America can probably try to fight Russia alone. They can probably try to fight China alone. They can't fight Russia and China unified. That's a for certain suicide move. Already fighting Russia is a suicide move. Fighting China alone is a suicide move. Both of these nations, Russia and China, are like two siblings. Russia is the big son that's muscular and strong, but not really crafty. He's got strength, he's got power. He knows what he wants, he gets what he wants, and that's it. China, on the other hand, is the wimpy little kid that's very studious and works very diligently, studies all the time. In his spare time, he's making mad scientist contraptions. Together, it's formidable. And America is, well, you can use whatever analogy you want to use. My opinion of the American leadership is well known. And I see no evidence of that's ever going to change, at least in the short term. Yeah, so guys, all we can do is ride things out like ticks on the back of an elephant. That's our situation right now. There's a lot of undercurrents that don't want to see things get very, very nasty. These regional wars in the Ukraine, or a regional event in the South Pacific Sea, might be is beneficial for the United States during its time of collapse. But I will tell you what, Russia will strike at NATO lethally if NATO tries anything really harsh. And any actions by the United States or the AUKUS Quad against Chinese territory, and the Taiwan is Chinese territory. Make no mistake. Just because you don't believe it doesn't mean the Chinese don't believe it. You've got 1.4 billion people in China that believe that Taiwan is Chinese. What are you? One person? Maybe you and the audience at Fox News? 1 million people believe that? No, it's Chinese territory. Any fighting on Chinese territory will be fought on American territory. If you haven't been paying attention, but I've been documenting it, so that's okay. I've been documenting the tit-for-tat escalation of battles. Every time America makes a move against China, it comes back in spades on American soil. So keep that in mind. I watched a video the other day about Biden. He just seems to be a tottering old gentleman, more suitable for a nursing home. I hate to say it, it was painful to watch. I'm sure the guy's a nice guy, but he's kind of past his prime. He needs to be put out to the field. Okay? Not saying that is bad. Sometimes I feel like I need to go to the field, you know? I'm not Jason Bourne anymore, guys. All right? There's a time when you're like, okay, I want to step down from this reality. And really, why are these old geezers all populating the Senate? They need some fresh blood, guys. Once you start turning in your 70s, it's time you need to start turning off the lights and relaxing a little bit. But these people are moving into their 80s and their 90s. That's not healthy for the country. Geriatric leadership is not good for the country. Likewise, youthful leadership may not be good either. You need a mix of wisdom. And I'm not seeing that. Oh, so is my political opinions. What do I know? Yeah, really, what do I know? I'm only right about 50% of the time. So I don't know what's going to happen. People say, what's going to happen? I was like, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is, all I can tell you is that there's formidable forces that are pushing for very different objectives. They fall into two primary camps, the East and the West. The West wants an American-led New World, or American-led unipolar. Una means one. It comes from Latin. One leader, United States. Everybody else follows it. And because everybody else follows it, the United States loots, rapes, pillages, takes whatever it wants until the rest of the world is a burned out hulk, a husk, a dying ember. Okay? That's what the United States wants. And their justification for this kind of behavior is God gave them the authority. Man, that's so great. I wish I could say that. I wish I could break into a store and say, you can't arrest me. God told me to do this. Sounds pretty fucked up, doesn't it? It's because it is. It really is. It's fucked up. But that's what the neocons believe. And that's what their followers believe. And there's no way around that, is there? That's it. You know. But just because we're in the middle of this geopolitical period of change doesn't mean that we can't enjoy life as it is. Another beautiful day here in July. Eating good food. Things are orderly. It's a slower pace. Everything's pretty calm, and then I turn on the news and I'm like, oh, God. But if you just turn off the news and you look upon the world around yourself, it's not all that bad. Are you eating okay? Is the air fresh? Are you enjoying yourself? You have to be very judicious on what you watch, what you observe, what you take in. I'm going to give you an example. So I got on YouTube and I'm looking at some of the science fiction clips, these mini sections where they take a recent movie and then they run through the summary of the movie. It's actually pretty good. You can watch a whole movie in 5 minutes instead of sitting through an hour and a half. And if you really like it, then you can switch. I noticed something after watching 3 of these movies. Total time maybe 15 minutes. I was hyper. Hyper. My heart was beating and I felt very uncomfortable. All these movies that are coming out, these action-packed movies or whatever, they cause chemical changes in your body, this excitement, this adrenaline, this feelings that you get. They twist the endorphins within your body, twist the body chemistry as you're watching these things. It took me hours to calm down from that, and I didn't feel right at all. Lucky for me, I had alcohol. That's always helpful. I do not recommend it. If you're not a drinker, do not start. The point is, you got to interrupt these snares and traps, because they are insidious, they are dangerous, they are seductive, and they can cause and alter you. People talk about porn. Well, sure, you're watching porn 24/7, you're going to have some weird feelings and thoughts. It's going to affect your life. If you watch videos of horror videos where people are tortured and dying all the time, yeah, it's going to affect you. And that's the danger of echo chambers, whether it's political or how to bake cakes. If you're in a church group and everybody constantly brings in these latest cakes every time you meet, that becomes your normal. But you also notice that everybody who brings in the cakes seem to be getting fatter and fatter and bigger, because it's sugar-laden consumables. So I'm a big believer that we can take everything in moderation and look at the whole. Look at the whole. Eat a little bit of this food, eat a little bit of that food. Watch a little bit of this movie, watch a little bit of that. Take it as a whole. Don't get too attached with any one concept. Now, I'm in China, so I have a tendency to be in the Chinese echo chamber because that's my immediate surroundings. Just like if you're in America, you're in the American echo chamber. It's your immediate surroundings. But you got to remember, guys, you got to remember that the most important things that you can do is balance yourself. Be in tune with yourself. Which now I'm going to segue into talking about self. And the world's undergoing changes, all right? We're living in the world right now, so we're experiencing these changes, but the changes are not affecting us as much as what we read. That media assault is coming at us full force, like hitting us on the head with a bat. For us to get away from that media assault and to control our lives, we have to recognize that we have to take care of ourselves. And I'm going to talk about the self right now. We've got soul, consciousness, being, and the physical body. I'm going to call being the same as being an ISB, and that's a being. Okay. It's a crappy ass term. I never liked that term, but I'm just going to use it. A lot of times I refer to things as consciousness, because consciousness is the thought generation of pattern of yourself associated with your body. You leave the body, consciousness moves out. Consciousness experiences other things, consciousness moves back into the body. It's consciousness. You should be intimately familiar with your own consciousness. Soul is often misunderstood as to be consciousness, but it's not. Soul is the whole of you. But I'm going to define it a little bit better. It differs from being, is different than soul. okay? Isby is the ultimate you. Soul is that part which is entrapped within the pocket universe. And of soul, it can be partitioned into consciousnesses. Most people, such as MM here, have a consciousness. This consciousness is from my soul, which has also partitioned other consciousness. Each consciousness occupies a physical or non-physical body elsewhere. I happen to know that this particular body, my particular consciousness, is around 33%, 32%, something like that. So I've got another 60-something percent out there that's doing all kinds of other stuff. So what you need to do is control your consciousness. And consciousness, guys, is how you're going to survive and get through these periods of changes. How do you survive? How do you control your consciousness? Well, you center it. You can use hemisync, you can use meditation, but you can also surround yourself with good people, limit the bad things that go into your body, perform good industry, meaning make stuff, be helpful, and of course eat good food. There's nothing that's going to pollute you more than having a diet of Pepsi-Cola, fast food, deep fried food, and drugs while watching the American news. You're going to become a really messed up entity there, so you've got to reset yourself. I always admire people who reset themselves out in nature. They're good folk. I always admire that. So now I'm going to turn back around. Summary here. It seems strange. This period of time is strange. And the reason why is because the changes that are going on is going through reassessment periods, readaptation. These adaptation periods during cycles of change are in steps. One, then a result, and then another, and then a result, and then another, and then a reevaluation, then another. They're in steps. We've just gone through a couple in rapid succession, and now we're in like a little slide, like a little plateau, and then there'll be another one. Hopefully, war can be avoided. That's what I would like. A hot kinetic war. Nobody wants that. Now, they're fighting over in the Ukraine, but if we can control things, I think my biggest guess is the bioweapon assaults will continue. That's China's assessment anyways. And the big issues are going to be in access to energy, access to food, and a total tear down and rebuilding of commodity exchange systems, meaning money, okay? Commodity exchange systems. You want some energy, you give them some food, commodity exchange systems. The old world is really changing pretty substantially, and new ones coming around. So while all this stuff is going on, you got to maintain your soul, your consciousness, your ability to be aware but not be affected. You have to be comfortably numb, to give a Pink Floyd reference. You have to be able to let the whole world go through you while you're not part of it. then you'll probably be okay. Key is good diet, centering the mind, positive thoughts, smiling, getting out and being around people, and providing some useful industry. And if you can't, well then don't waste your time. Maybe, take a course or something. Learn something new. I'm always learning stuff new. So, and don't forget the kitty cats. Lots of cats, lots of dogs. Help your life a whole bunch. So this little rambling video, this whole rambling video, is all about the association of global geopolitical change in relation to your consciousness, and how you can control your reality through consciousness so that it does not affect you while the geopolitical realms unwind. I wonder how I can go ahead and put that in the title. It's going to be a rough one. If I put it in the title and nobody's going to read this, need to be clickbait titles. I find that my clickbait titles are the ones that people actually like. Simple statements. Shanghai famine. Oh, they like that. The world is coming to an end because of the evil China. Oh, man, they like that. Parameter distribution of consciousness in order for matrix reevaluation of geopolitical changes. I don't think I'm going to get too many hits on that title. Don't you know? So I'll have to come up with something interesting. Guys, I just want you all to do good. I want me to do good. I want us to all have a good life. I want us to enjoy life, to follow our passions, whatever they may be. Everybody's got passions. And I want you to have a good time. Why am I bitching and moaning about some chick over in Sweden thinking that she's going to join NATO? Why the hell does it matter to me? It doesn't. It's a beautiful day outside. There is some steaks waiting for me, I tell you what, and a nice fine glass of wine. Actually, I'm in the mood for a cup of coffee right now. But I'll tell you what, I've got a neighborhood kitty that's just happy to see me. Gotta look at the life that you have, not at the illusions that are being fostered upon you. And guys, at that, I want you to have a great life. Smile more, be happy, and take care.